Oh my God, Goldie. Goldie's licking her bed. Goldie, you're so funny. Well, Bobby, he would act like he was feeding on a mother, breastfeeding, whatever it's called. Bobby did that. I mean, when he was 8, 9 years old, he did that for a long time, all the way up till he died. He would, oh, this blanket right there, this blanket he loved, and he would just, with his paws over and over again and suck it, suck it, suck it, suck it to where it's all wet. I don't know why some cats do that, but he did that late into his life. I guess it reminded him of breastfeeding or whatever. So yeah, he did that a lot. But Goldie was just over there licking that material. Thought that was kind of funny. You guys, my God, look, their eyes are open. Yeah, how cute is that? Look at that. God, you guys are gonna be such doll babies. But I think they're still kind of blind. Oh, baby, yeah, you guys look blind. You guys are blind at that age, aren't you, Bubby? But you won't be for long. So I was just thinking about New York City. Because I knew this one person was there for a while or whatever. I mean, they didn't live there permanently. But anyway, so it's kind of funny. This morning, I had OBE VR at Lucid Dream that I was in New York City. And, man, that was a trip, man. So I was walking around New York City, and I was walking around just a small little, like, area, like this street, that street. Oh, man, I could draw it. I don't have the board in here. And I was walking around, and I just couldn't believe how deserted it was. But it was about to be nighttime. And I knew, the psycho people came out at nighttime, the criminals and stuff. But it was almost nighttime, and I couldn't believe how deserted it was. So then I started having these thoughts like, well, maybe it's because of COVID, people are still staying off the streets at nighttime. But yeah, it was weird. And, see, I don't have a pen in here. Oh, what cuteness. They'll go to sleep here in a minute. But I gotta make sure I don't step on them when I get up. But, but yeah, I mean, I was in New York City, and, I've been to New York City many, many times, via OBE VR Lucid Dream. They've taken me there many times. And this experience was just a little bit different, because they're all different. Okay, let me see. Sure. Goldie's been in there a long time, so she's ready to take a rest from the kitties. But, so I was just in like a small little, well, I don't know what you call it. Let me see. And I just had these thoughts, like I just couldn't, I probably need to shave, don't I? That's how I do. I just started having these thoughts, like I couldn't believe I was actually on a trip and in New York City. And, I was just, thinking like, well, I knew that it would probably be complicated to kind of travel, but so I couldn't believe that I was actually taking a trip to New York City. I started having all those thoughts. And, okay, so here's New York City. And, well, I'm just trying to draw it like, I was just in a small little area of, of a neighborhood type of area where there's, buildings all around and apartment buildings. But the streets were just totally, well, I did come across a few people, but they were basically just like totally empty, and I just couldn't believe how empty they were. And so I started walking around, observing all the buildings, apartment buildings, and buildings. And then, and Okay, and my mom was with me. And the next thing I know, I was gonna, like me and her were gonna get into a taxi. The taxi was like over here. And she had already got in the taxi. And all of a sudden, it seemed like there was 20 people in there. And all of a sudden, it's like they draped themselves with big old gray blankets all over him. And I was like looking around. My mom had got in there in the taxi. And all of a sudden, everybody draped themselves with these big gray blankets over themselves. And so I was like, okay, where's my mom? Where's my mom? I was trying to find my mom. Because I wanted to make sure she was in there before I got in there. And it was facing that direction, the car. And then all of a sudden, I asked the driver, I was like, this is kind of funny. I asked the driver, I was like, where's Charlotte Wilson? Can you try to see if Charlotte Wilson is in there? Like, where's Charlotte Wilson? This is kind of funny because this is just a small car, but when I looked in there, there's like 20 people. And so I was just kind of like yelling at the, because I guess there was a lot of commotion, because there's a lot of people in there. So I was just kind of yelling, at the taxi cab driver, like, is Charlotte Wilson in there? Where's Charlotte Wilson? Because I knew she got in there, but all of a sudden everybody covered themselves with these gray blankets and I couldn't tell if she was in there or not. So that part was kind of weird. But like I said, I was in this small little area of New York City, small little, street and neighborhood. And okay, here's the streets. Just a small little neighborhood. And I just couldn't believe how deserted it was. And then there was that part with the taxi cab. And it seemed like we were going to go to lunch together, That's what it seemed like that's where we were going. And, okay, so then there was this other funny part where I ate some tacos and oh my God, they were like so good. Okay, so then all of a sudden, oh yeah, and by the way, there seemed to be like a little alleyway over here. There was a couple alleyways that I saw too. And like I said, I just couldn't believe how deserted it was. And I knew it was, about 10 minutes away from being dark time. And I knew all the psycho people came out at nighttime. Because Joe got that from when I went to Seattle. And it started to get nighttime. Then all of a sudden, everybody clears the streets and only the psycho people come out at nighttime. Everybody knows that about big cities or whatever. Like downtown and stuff. And basically I was in like downtown New York City or whatever. And so then, all of a sudden I come across two black women and basically we were kind of like over here. I came across two black women like sitting on bleachers and I started talking to them and that's when I had these thoughts like what am I going to eat for dinner or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, they had some tacos. And all of a sudden, I grabbed some of the tacos and I started eating the tacos. And oh my God. I mean, it was just so vivid tasting. They were so good. They kind of tasted like Taco Bell tacos or whatever. I used to love Taco Bell tacos. But they were eating tacos. And so I grabbed some and started eating them. And they were like so good. And I started thinking, I knew I really wasn't supposed to eat them because I knew I was allergic to a bunch of stuff, in the scenario. Okay, so, and then I started having these thoughts like, I wonder how much rent they're paying, for their apartment or whatever. And like I said, it was two black women. And there was a couple other people here and there when I started walking around by myself before I came across my mom and everything. But then time passed by and then all of a sudden there was like nobody, because it was about 10 minutes away from being dark time. But before that, when I started walking around, there was, few people here and there, but very few. And I just couldn't believe like, wow, this is a big city, but where's everybody at, But anyway, it was a fun experience, and but that's funny because like I say, I was thinking about New York City before this experience. You know, like this experience was this morning, April 11th, and then last night I was thinking about this one person, how they kind of went there temporarily, lived there temporarily, you know, or whatever. But it was just kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, like one time I was thinking about Ohio, because I knew this one person said that her mom lived in Ohio. She's probably dead now because that was a long time ago. And that woman is probably dead as well, the daughter. But I haven't looked the person up in a while, so I don't know. But I'm sure the mom was dead because this was 20-something years ago. Or yeah, about 20 years ago. And anyway, so she said her mom lived in Ohio, and then I remember walking to the back door, and the back door over there, and then I just had these brief thoughts for a couple seconds about Ohio, and then the next morning, oh my God, and it's on YouTube, I had this long, drawn-out scenario where I was in Ohio. I mean, and it was just long and drawn out, very vivid, very clear, very long. I mean, just like the one this morning, except the one this morning wasn't quite as long, wasn't quite as good as the Ohio one. But yeah, it's a trip, man. Thanks for listening. Oh, here's the baby. Oh, they're all about to fall asleep now. Hey, okay, and I need to turn lights off and stuff because I want them to go sleeping. My God, I don't get stuck in between the damn bed. Shit. I think they'll be fine, hopefully. Thanks for listening.